Okay, let's see what we got on X. This might be a slightly shorter stream, especially because I was having those technical difficulties earlier. I'm gonna have to try and get that sorted after this, and I might stream my raid tonight. That kind of depends on the technical issues and also if I can get the audio set up in such a way that my Discord audio is not going through here because I don't want other people to be on stream and not know about it or whatever. So, um, let's see what we got. Democrats that's or let's see. Let's read it from this way. Kyle Chung. Why do Democrats hate the only prominent streamer political influencer who vaguely appeals to young men like every single other one is a neo-Nazi manosphere freak, and they are going after Hasan harder than they go after Trump. Like Israel is really worth all that to you, Jesus. And then Hasan says Democrats that spend any amount of time chirping about me love Israel more than defeating Republicans and preserving democracy. 100%. They don't want to win bad enough. If they are busy going after Hasan at this particular moment in time, they would rather the Democrats lose and continue to protect Israel because they think the Republicans will protect Israel, so they would rather have the Republicans win than the Democrats. They don't want it bad enough. Yeah, I mean, I think that should be obvious. Let's see. Zay Squirrel posted on behalf of humanity. Thank you, Iran, Hezbollah, and Shia Muslims for punishing the genocidal Zionist Jewish supremacist parasite death cult. I don't know if I'm allowed to listen to this. I might get copyright struck, so I'll just say, you go, Zay Squirrel. um, Breaking. The United Nations has voted 123 to 3 in favor to condemn the enslavement of millions of Africans and the transatlantic slave trade. The three countries voting against it. Oh my God. Wait, where's. Did Israel. God, it's so hard to see. I think so. Can I zoom in? Man, this is okay. There's no way to really zoom in anymore on this from what I can tell. Um, but yeah, I think Israel is red there. So Israel voted against it. America voted against it. What country is this again? One second. South America map. That's Chile on the left, right? But what's on the right? Argentina. Oh, yeah, okay. So, that's Javier Milei's Argentina, right? So that makes sense. Oh, it says it up here. Okay. Yeah. That all tracks to me. It is funny that uh for all of those like I think that that might be a connection that a lot of people don't really make that often. Is like the current iteration of white supremacy and fascism and all that sort of stuff. Uh and how like interconnected it is with like the slave trade and the creation of America as a country in particular. Like I think that's something that a lot of people haven't reckoned with, and they really need to. Like the way that we treat the Holocaust is some like historical anomaly that is like completely disconnected from all of the past events that like led up to it. Is like one of the reasons that we have to keep living through this fucking hell that we're living through, this colonial hell that is just an ongoing parasite on the world. Um, like we need to recognize that Hitler sprung up and like came to power using a lot of the same policies that America popularized and like Jim Crow and all that sort of stuff. Uh, So Hitler and Germany's ideology was much more aligned with America than at the time than I think a lot of people are willing to recognize. And the fact I always say that the fact that we ended up going to war on the right side of that of history on that particular moment in World War II is like anomalous. Like if Japan hadn't attacked us on Pearl Harbor or whatever, we probably wouldn't have joined at all, I would guess. Um, maybe we would have eventually, but uh, I don't know for sure. But like, I don't know. It's just like we were much more ideologically aligned with Hitler than I think a lot of people recognize. Uh-oh. Today's news: Emma Vigeland's anti-billionaire sweatshirt draws online fire at airport, and she says, "What is going on?" Now I think this might be a crazy take, okay? But personally, I think that they should be more focused on actual fires at the airport instead of online fires, because my understanding is that our infrastructure is crumbling like it does every time a Republican gets in office, and uh, we all of our planes are falling out of the sky and all that shit. So I think that they should be focused on those fires, or maybe this fire, this fire down here. Let's see this one. In Buenos Aires, an effigy representing far-right President Javier Milei was burned. A Nazi symbol as well as Israeli and U.S. flags were seen on the effigy. Hell yeah! Burn 'em! Yeah. So, man, dude, the America has lost all of its like prestige. Like, I think that like, do you remember back in the day when people used to get legitimately pissed off that like Iran was burning American flags or whatever, or like Iraq, like these countries in the Middle East were burning American flags, and people just used to like they got so pissed off. I feel like at this point at least half of the country in America is like looks at this and is like, yeah, yeah, we deserve that. Like, yeah, go ahead and burn it, man. I get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we are so far gone at this point. It is crazy. We are the bad guys. We live to become the bad guys, everybody. Man. Yeah, we need more. Okay, I do think I learned something here though. Our protests in America, we need more effigy burning. This was rad. Like this is awesome. The amount of like creativity and like artistry that went into making this like, effigy of Javier Milei and then just burning it as like a symbol, I think that's rad as hell. We need more of that shit in America. Okay, let's see. A month ago, the national price of gas as 2.93 a gallon. Today it's 3.94. One man is to blame, Donald Trump. Under Biden, gas hit 501, by the way. Yak Boy is such a fucking hack. I mean, sure. The like gas did go up pretty high under Biden. I don't really know what the average was. Um, and I think that he probably could have done a lot more to help, to help alleviate that pressure. I would have done it through, direct funding of either programs or just like straight up money to the working class of this country. Um, but he definitely didn't do his best there. But regardless, like you can also just acknowledge that like we shouldn't this change right here, this up to 394 is completely and totally a choice that Donald Trump and the billionaires of America have made in order to eviscerate the working class. Like they there are no outside forces that, like, for instance, COVID or whatever, uh, that are causing this. This is entirely our choice. So, um, oh, let's go ahead and see this. Maybe a this is a quick clip, but this is from, I think Ryan Grimm went on a I guess Rob Schmidt. I don't really know who that is, but I think it's like a right wing. Oh, on Newsmax. So I think that there's going to. I think it was pretty unhinged, if I understand correctly. But let's see this
And
clip.
you know what the nurses and doctors there told me? They said when the power goes out, they immediately turn on their phone lights and race to the babies on ventilators.
Let me ask you this.
Because there's a gap
And
between hold on.
I understand.
Hold on one
No,
second.
we're killing babies with no
There's
power.
a gap between when the power goes out and when the generator kicks in that can be up to like 5 or 6, 7 minutes. A baby can die in that time on a ventilator. You know what the nurses and doctors there told me?
Yeah, it's unhinged, and this guy was clearly trying to interrupt him because he didn't want to hear about how tragic it is, the stuff that we're doing to Cuba. Um, This regime in Cuba has been killing its people for years. U.S. policy attempts to free these people from that regime, and we find these ghouls trying to save it. That's what he said. Actual quote last night from Rob Schmidt, who just called me a ghoul. I understand. We're killing babies with no power. Yeah, he literally said that in the clip. If you understand that and you're okay with that, I'm not the ghoul. Listen here. Yeah, seriously, these people are demons. This person is a demon. Like, legitimately, they are satanic. Like, it's wild, dude. FKA Twigs is suing Shia LaBeouf over their sexual battery settlement. Okay. Yeah, tried to silence her with India. Yeah, so Shia, I'm pretty sure, is a piece of shit. Yeah, and he's also got severe, I think, problems with the alcoholism and stuff, as far as I know. I can't. So Iran allows the following countries to use the Strait of Hormuz. Okay. So earlier I was saying I know that they were allowing some ships to go through, but I actually thought they were allowing more than just these ships to go through, but you had to pay a fine, was my understanding. Like, I still think they're completely blocking Israel, America, the Gulf state allies who are involved in this war against Iran, and the EU allies who are actively providing intel and, defense capabilities and all that sort of, and bases and stuff. Like, I think that all of them are also are all not allowed to go. And I think that the rest of the countries I thought just had to pay a fine, but I could be wrong on that. Israel doing Israel shit again. More war crimes. Um, oh yeah, I did see this, I think. Let's listen.
We are at the Miami airport on our way back from Cuba, where over a dozen of us have been detained for over 3 hours. Many of our phones were taken and searched, laptops as well. Others were released. They were asking us what we were doing in Cuba. When we all answered that we were bringing a humanitarian aid, they pulled up articles where that's exactly what we were doing. They are directly trying to instill fear in us to not continuing to go on and be on the side of humanity, whether that's in Cuba or whether that's in Palestine. We know that our comrade Tiago is still being held in Panama.
Yeah, they tried to do the same stuff with Hasan and, various other people as they as they came back from, like, trips abroad and stuff. This is just normal intimidation shit. I don't think it's gonna work. These people, like, their cause is too important, and there's always going to be brave people who are willing to take the risk to do this sort of stuff. So I don't know. It does suck though that they have to go through this shit just to, and all of this this entire flotilla was coordinated with, like, you have to get the permits from America and stuff, and you have to get the, like, it's all completely and totally coordinated with the American government and with the Cuban government to do this sort of thing. So, like, there's no other way to read DHS detaining these people as anything other than an attempt to silence them and try and keep people from doing this in the future. So um, that's too bad, but keep strong, keep helping them. What's this?
Wow.
Hummingbird moth. Yeah.
How sick is that?
Yeah, those things are sick, dude. So, uh, oh wait, I guess there's this one too. What, LMAO, did this always exist, or I'm trying to figure this out in my head? Yes, Loki, hummingbird and moths can breed. No, okay. No, LMFAO, it's a moth. It's just called that because it's shaped and moves like a hummingbird. It's a hybrid. Oh, yeah, okay. I remember the first time I saw this thing as well. I was also very confused because, like, it does legitimately seem like like it should not exist. Like, what the fuck is this thing? You know what I'm saying? Um, and the first time I saw it was actually at it was a place called the Nature Institute, I think. And they used to have uh like a week-long sort of summer program, I think, just for kids to go hang out and do. It's essentially like a daycare, but you're just doing nature shit. And uh it ends with like I remember it ended with like a outside camping sort of thing or whatever. It was really fun. It was a good memory. I still have it, as a 30-year-old, still having memories from when you were like 8 or 9. It must be a somewhat good memory. But I do remember seeing these for the first time there and being like, that has to be a bird. There's no way that this is like a bug. And then they told me, as they're like, no, that's a bug. That's not a bird. So um anyway, there's your little nature information and Clay backstory moment for the day. Let's listen to Zateo.
After the incident at Delaney Hall, there was an effort to censure you in the House and remove you from your position on the Homeland Security Committee. That thankfully failed.
Yeah.
What do you make of that and other attempts to censure people like Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar? Wonder what you all have in common. What do you make of those attempts, some of them successful? And then you look at Randy Fine and Andy Ogles on the Republican side
Terrible
saying
people.
Muslims are lower than dogs,
Yeah.
Muslims should not be in America.
Ugh,
Yeah.
they're evil.
Zero attempt to hold them to account
Yeah.
in Congress.
Yeah. The one thing I take a few things from it, but the one thing I take from it is this attack on women of color and people of color through
Definitely.
this president and this administration, because quite frankly, they're racist and they're bigots. And I feel like they are going to do whatever they can do to make examples out of us, especially women of color, and hurt us. And so that's why you see these censure attacks and it being allowed to happen. And then I see people like Randy Fine.
Well, it's both, right? It's both because they're women of color, which makes them, um, like Republicans will always attack marginalized people much more than like, for instance, straight white men who might have the same opinion or say the same thing. But then also, obviously, it's being pro-Palestine and being anti-Israel and basically just being anti-colonial in general. Our entire country was founded on colonialism, and the genocide of the native. It's kind of built into the DNA of our country. And the Republicans are the current distillation of that ideology. Um, they're the logical sort of conclusion, and fascism and the MAGA movement is kind of the logical conclusion of what we put into motion 400 years ago, like the seeds that we set back then with our genocide of the native. And um, so anytime anybody says that actually uh, it's wrong to kill the native and wipe them out entirely in order to expand your territory and control more land and dominate the region and all that sort of stuff. Anytime someone comes out and says that, uh, the Republicans will obviously be like, well, that's an attack against like who we are as a country and what we've always done and what we should continue to do in order to attain more and more power. Uh, so like, yeah, that's like the other reason. But also, it certainly doesn't help to be like a person of color, especially a female person of color, because that just makes their normal rage turn into like a frothing, boiling rage.
And Andy, who are disgusting humans, and true bigots to be able to operate like that. And I was talking to someone the other day and said, like, just imagine if someone of color got up and said that about Jews. You know, they would literally run to try to hang them, by the way, of them saying this. It's the same thing. Like, it's the same thing. You're just talking about Muslims, and it's awful, and it should not be tolerated. And that's why each time they do it, I continue to call them out, because they are disgusting humans, and they are
well, also, when it comes to Muslims, the Democrats largely, at least the old guard of the Democrats, are perfectly on board with being anti-Muslim, like Islamophobic or whatever. That's because, like I said, it's just that ideology, the cleansing of the native ideology, is built into the fabric of this country. So it obviously holds a lot of the institutions of power. That ideology does. And the current iteration of it is, trying to steal the land from, the Muslims that live over there or whatever. And uh, so when it comes to that, at least when it comes to the people who hold power, there's really not that much of a difference between the Republicans and Democrats. Sure, there are some that are obviously good, and the Democrats are uh, closer to my position on this, and at the very least aesthetically so, but also sometimes in substance. Like they're not going to be as vicious, but they are largely also aligned with the, Israeli project of colonizing the Middle East for the white man. So, you know, um, yeah, good discussion. Good discussion, people. Let's see. I don't know that person, so I'm not gonna watch his thing. Sorry. Melt ice. Oliver A. Larkin has made clear he unequivocally supports the abolition of ICE, unlike his opponent Jared Moskowitz, fuck him, who spends his time warmongering and voting for bills to increase ICE funding and jurisdictions such as the Lake and Riley Act. Let's go, Oliver. Yeah, get this fucking goober out of Congress. I'm tired of looking at his weird face. uh, I don't want to watch a war crime, sorry. Um, whoa. Okay. This is excellent reporting from Crystal Ball. One of the attacks on Bahrain was blamed on Iran was actually an American Tomahawk missile. The US and Israel are conducting false flag attacks to drag the Gulf states into a wider war. The US will do the same thing at home. Okay, let's listen.
See that in some of the war strategy, right? We actually know one of the attacks on Bahrain that was purported to have come from Iran, actually now we know it was a Tomahawk. That was a U.S. missile that actually, did the damage there in Bahrain. We've had other indications that the Americans and the Israelis are actually responsible for some of the attacks that they are blaming on Iran. Why? Because they want to draw the entire region in. They want to make it so that those Arab Gulf states, that they also fully join the fight without hesitation. The Diego Garcia strike, if that is, if that was a false flag, which I think is possible, I'm not saying it is.
That's kind of what I was saying earlier. I don't necessarily think that was Iran that did that, if it happened at all.
I'm saying it's possible. What's the goal of that? To draw Europe in. So
Yeah.
this is the way that they think, and it's the way that they operate. And Bibi in those comments see that in.
Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't actually know about this Bahrain attack. I'm gonna give this a follow real quick, but I just don't know how. Like, I think same with the one that happened against that UK base or whatever, Diego Garcia. Um, I don't think it's gonna have the impact that they want it to. I don't think the false flags are, those aren't big enough false flags to like draw them in at all. And I don't even know if there is a false flag that is big enough to draw them in because, um, like for instance, when it comes to the Gulf states, what benefit would they get out of going like jumping head first into this war? Like they would become more of a target. Iran would potentially go after some of the things that they've not gone after so far that they said that they will. Um, and you can't do anything more than what America can do. If America can't do, like, for instance, if America can't open the Strait of Hormuz, then all of these Gulf states getting involved is not going to change that. If America can't uh, take out all of Iran's missile firing and drone firing capabilities, then none of these Gulf states getting involved will change that. And the Gulf states, like, if they get involved anyway, it's probably more likely that it's just going to be Americans using their airspace or their launch pads and their bases and stuff to just launch from there instead of like flying over Israel or coming in from the sea or whatever. Um, like, so I don't know. I just it might like aesthetically look different because like it'll look more like a world war if these countries are directly like more directly involved, but I don't know. I don't think that really changes anything, to be honest. Yeah, they demolished it. Yeah. Okay. They do feel emboldened, but I said before, I don't think they're gonna succeed. I don't think they're gonna succeed. Every single time they've tried to go to the Litani River or whatever, they've been pushed back. They're like the Israeli occupation forces are largely a civilian sort of police apparatus, if you know what I'm saying. Like they're not like actual trained fighters. They're not like willing to take chances and risk their lives and all of that sort of stuff. Whereas Hezbollah is. Um, it doesn't like it doesn't take much fighting back to get these people to back off. They will obviously, use airstrikes to the best of their ability so that they don't have to actually rely on ground troops that much or whatever. But in the end, to hold territory, you have to rely on ground troops, and their ground troops are fat hogs who are used to beating up women and children, right? Like they're not going to be able to hold their own against an actual, Hezbollah brigade or whatever. So I just don't think it's gonna happen, man. Ugh. Cornell West. Okay, I'm just gonna try to find something fun to end it on. Maybe this will be fun. This is wine about it. Cutie Cinderella, she's on the Furian podcast, which I sometimes watch Furian for non-political content. Is that Senna? Does it say anywhere? I don't know. Um, I think that's Senna. The only thing I know her from is she sometimes pops up in my feed on my fitness content. Um, but I think that they're somewhat like tangentially related in terms of like the YouTube content sphere or whatever. So let's see what this is all about.
Show messages me, do you know this person from Moses Lake? And I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's the guy that I had a crush on when I was at GameStop that I turned gay, or not turned gay, but helped him discover himself.
Oh my God.
Or no, that's not Senna. Sorry, that's Valkyrie, I think. I get those two confused sometimes. Yeah, I think that's Valkyrie. But I'm. Oh yeah, it says met Ray's old hometown crush. I did some. Okay, I gotta read this shit. I gotta read this shit before I start playing it. Okay, it's Valkyrie. Sorry, people. Sorry,
Also
sorry.
show messages me. Do you
I'm
know
terrible
this
with
person
names.
from Moses Lake? And I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's the guy that I had a crush on when I was at GameStop that I turned gay. Or not turned gay, but helped him discover himself.
Oh my god.
And Hasan's like, you won't believe this, but he's stripping at a strip club in Oregon. No
Oh
freaking
my god.
way. I was like, yeah, that's the exact same person. Also, Slay. Oh, that's awesome.
That's
and
incredible.
I was like, what a small world. How did you meet him? I kind of want to call him.
What about it? Christian and I had some friends in town, and we were like, we wanted to show them the scene, so we were just like, let's go to this strip club. And I had met this guy on a previous occasion that I was at the strip club with another friend. He's like, I grew up in a small town in Washington. Oh, Moses Lake. And I was like, Moses Lake? I was like, well, do you know Vogue Valkyrie?
You did not.
He probably knows you're on the cover of Vogue. He's like, yeah, I went to school with her. And he did not say
He didn't mention that.
No.
Oh,
He didn't mention anything about GameStop.
Wait.
Did he know that you had a crush on him?
He knew that I had a crush on him.
He
Like
didn't bring that up at all.
Do you think that he knew that we knew each other?
He knew who I was. He knew who I was.
Interesting.
Well, that wasn't that funny. Except for me getting her mixed up with Senna or whatever. But that happens to me a lot, actually. I don't know why, but I get those two mixed up a decent amount. I probably just don't watch enough of their content to be super familiar, but let's see. The White House has warned Iran to accept what it called a military defeat, or the U.S. will hit harder than ever before. Yeah, we've heard that before. Iran has reportedly rejected the 15-point plan to end the war, labeling the demands as unreasonable. Yeah, we kind of already watched that. Hasan, a third way tweet. Hasan Piker is anti-American, anti-women, anti-Western, and anti-Semitic. Okay. Yes and no when it comes to anti-American. I've said this before. I am anti-American in that I am anti-imperialist, and as long as America remains an imperialist power, I am going to not be a huge fan of it. But really, I would frame that as more that I want America to be better and do better, which I would not frame as anti-American, but that's my personal opinion. Anti-women, totally. No, I'm just kidding. I think Hasan is one of the most feminist people on the internet. Anti-Western, again, same sort of thing as anti-American. And when these third way people, when they say anti-Western, they mean anti-white, right? That's what they actually mean when they say that. They think he's anti-white and anti-Semitic. That word means nothing anymore. We can just go ahead and discard it. We need a new word. What else we got? Nope, nope, nope. Nope. I got too much sad shit on my timeline, man. I saw this video. This was an interview with Slate. I don't really want to watch it though, because I'm looking for something fun. Okay, let's see what this is.
Do you know how bad this Hasan Piker trip is for like optics?
Tell me, Diorio, how bad is it for optics? How bad is it that he's going to Cuba?
What the fuck is this, like, this chibi ass character? I don't know who this person is.
Alongside a flotilla, offering as much coverage and basically hyping up the situation as possible, driving attention, driving eyeballs, perhaps driving donations. Let me know how bad it is optically while you sit in your house, okay, with your $600 sunglasses, remember those, and your little fucking watch that you bought because H3 has one. Tell me how bad it is optically. And then after you tell me how bad it is optically, tell me about a cause that since you've been a content creator, you've used your platform to increase the viewership of, or increase.
Ooh, I can say one, and I've only been doing this for a few weeks at this point. I've been advocating for the Cori Bush campaign. I've been trying to get people, if anybody's out there watching, to go help canvas. I'm out there canvassing. If you want to meet your favorite streamer, you can go canvas with the DSA. They're doing it every weekend through April. Just saying.
Increase the donations that are going towards that. Let me know if there's ever been a country in crisis that you care about that you went and traveled to try and assist. And by the way, Diorio, I know you're a fat fuck. I know you can't walk around. I know you can't party because people bully you. Okay, I get it. I totally understand. And that's why I don't expect you to leave your room to do this. You can stream from your room and just talk about the situation while you're in that country. Have you ever done that? I don't think so. But yes, let's hear about how Hasan, using his platform to drive it.
Well, I was hoping to hear whatever this little freak said, but yeah, this is a good point. I like this point. I'm gonna go ahead and read this in it. Oh, God. Okay, I'm gonna read this until I get tired of reading it. But it's disgusting that this is the closest thing to a mass-scale anti-war protest in the United States right now. The problem with these No Kings protests is right there in the title. They're saying we don't want a king, we want a president. But Donald Trump is not a king. He is a president. And there's the real problem. U.S. presidents are extremely evil men who do extremely evil things. Donald Trump is a U.S. president who is doing U.S. president things. U.S. presidents consistently murder people with unforgivable acts of mass military violence, mistreat immigrants and marginalized communities, and promote tyranny for the benefit of corrupting special interests in defense of the U.S. empire and the capitalist status quo. That's what their job is. If they weren't willing to do these things, they wouldn't get the job. I said this earlier, basically. They're saying it much better than I did, but Donald Trump is just doing a lot of the same shit that American presidents do, like coups, like CIA operations to overthrow leaders. He's just doing it with like just out in the open and like much more vulgarly or whatever. Uh, and so like I think that it's important that we kind of remember that. And why the whole no kings thing is not necessarily the best branding for what like how we should actually be protesting Donald Trump. Um, Trump is not some freakish aberration. He is the product of the same American political status quo as his predecessors. He became president the same way they did, and the powers he now wields were given to his office via mundane executive, legislative, and judicial decisions and precedents before he was ever elected. Yeah, because the No Kings protests are organized by liberal defenders of the same political status quo, the demonstrations cannot address any of this. The whole thing is designed to be as large and inclusive as possible while also ensuring that it doesn't disrupt the established order in any meaningful way. They make no real demands. They coordinate the demonstrations with police and government officials. Protesters show up for a few hours with their brunch signs and their orange guy shirts, and then they go home without inconveniencing anybody. All of this is true, man. I love the energy to some extent of the No Kings protests. Like I do. It's a lot of energy. There's a lot of people out there. They're massive protests, but they aren't challenging enough to power. If they were challenging enough to power, then there would be police out there trying to destroy them, right? As someone who did go out to the Palestine protests in the early days after October 7th, like the police were out there, man, and they were like, uh, they weren't being that nice to people. Like, and then if you look back at like the encampments, they were even more brutal there than what I saw. Um, and so I think that like I don't know, there's this desire to bring so many people on board and be so palatable to liberals that it ends up actually neutering and completely destroying any actual possibility for positive change for this sort of movement. And so, yeah, I don't know. This is a good post. They are not protesting against the U.S. empire. They just want a more polite, photogenic empire. They are not protesting the corrupt oligarchic political system which gave rise to Donald Trump. They just want the corrupt oligarchic political system to give rise to presidents who make them feel less uncomfortable. The problem is U.S. presidents, not kings. The problem is U.S. empire, not Trump. The United States needs drastic revolutionary change, not daytime protests designed to be as inoffensive as possible. As long as Americans are protesting against fictional monarchies and easily replaceable oligarchic puppets instead of resisting the actual imperial machine, the abuses are going to continue. They are. They are going to continue, and they are going to get worse. And they are going to get worse for the people in America as well. These brutalities that we do abroad, they never stay abroad. They come back. We're seeing that with ICE. ICE, uh, all of the extra military equipment that we used abroad, all of the tactics that we used for suppressing rebellions abroad, um, you know, the ICE took all of that, and now they're being used as a domestic force against our population. Um, and that's going to keep getting worse. Like, I don't think people are prepared for how bad that is going to become if we don't actually, stop it. And if we don't stop doing this shit overseas, like in Iran and stuff, it's going to be bad, man. It's going to be really, really bad. The war in Iran is the most obviously evil American war in generations. People should be flooding the streets in every major U.S. city. Washington, D.C. should be on fire. Soldiers should be deserting en masse. Instead, we're seeing these stupid, fluffy, lib theater conventions where people get together to do nothing. Americans of conscience should be feeling deeply embarrassed right now. Yes, 100%. This was an incredible post. It actually articulated a lot of things that I've been thinking, I think, somewhat more in my subconscious and haven't been able to verbalize. Because I always felt something was off about the No Kings protest. But I really had a hard time articulating what it was. And I think this really, really crystallized like exactly what my thoughts are, is that it is too inoffensive. It is too within the boundaries of what's normal. It is too like coordinated with the government and with the police, and we're way past like the time for that. So incredible post. I'm just gonna comment real quick. This perfectly crystallizes feelings I was having but unable to put into words. Thank you. Yeah. No, that was a really good post. I like that. Okay, here's a little bit of a this isn't a fun enough one to end on or whatever, but your eyes are not deceiving you. This is real footage showing thousands of crows circling across and leaving Tel Aviv. Historically, crows symbolize death and war, which is pretty on the mark for Israel. So yeah, let's go ahead and watch this. Let's look at all these crows real quick. Where are they going? Maybe that symbolizes what everybody with a conscience should be doing from the state of Israel right now, fleeing. Let's see. Okay, I need to find something fun. That's not fun. That's not fun. Well, that might be fun. That one actually is kind of fun. Just flag stealing. Nice. Yeah. Get him. Hell yeah, brother. I'll never forget when I was at one of those early pro-Palestine protests, the feeling that I got when I saw we were going down a street and there were like parking garage buildings on like the right, uh and when we're going down, we're doing our protest, we got the those classic the classic protest drums with the chant leader. I'm not very good with all the vernacular and stuff or whatever, but and we're doing our chants and stuff. But I remember looking up, and some of the people from the protest, uh, the younger ones, not like me, an old head or whatever, they went and climbed up into the parking garage and somehow like got up on the building. Like some of them were up on top of the building. Some of them were hanging outside the window or like sitting on like the concrete like not windows, but like, the concrete openings for air of the parking garage, like waving the Palestinian flag back and forth and stuff. Uh, and I just remember feeling like that was just so awesome. It was so cool to see, like, because it's like a minor sort of, it's one of those minor quote unquote crimes, right? Like trespassing or like being somewhere you're not supposed to, or, slightly doing something a little bit dangerous, like sitting on a ledge of a 3-story parking garage and waving a flag or whatever. Um, but it all was just like so cool to see someone just kind of do that just out of the spirit of like there will be a free Palestine one day and stuff. And I don't know, I love that. Anyway, this kind of reminded me of that. Minor property crimes out of the goodness of a good cause, or the righteousness of a good cause. The bird. Yeah, that bird. Anti-Semitic! 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 He's anti-Semitic! Go get him! Canary Mission, where you at? Go get your boy. I'm sorry. Okay. You know what? That was a good one. That was a good one to end on. I ended up laughing. I got to tell my cool stories, so